Morning, everybody. Michelle is here on this Wednesday morning. Um, Let me make sure I just want to make sure I had enough time uh, to say some things that since I got some things on my mind. Everything's still going fantastic, magnificent, and marvelous for me. Um, I just do what I'm supposed to do, and I was tossing and turning last night. I'm reading the book I'm reading is a touchy subject, and it's about rebirth, life, dying, death, and sorrow. Those kind of subjects that we often avoid talking about or involve getting ourselves, kind of caught up in those kind of subjects because a lot it's real uncomfortable with people to talk about death and to talk about how to grieve, I guess, or the sorrow that comes along when you deal with certain subjects and stuff like that. And when I was reading that, just reading a few chapters and this and that and the other, I realized there's a lot of things we just don't know. We just do not know as much as we think we do. And I include myself in all of this, okay? So don't think that I'm always excluding myself from my conversations because it's based on my experience as to why I can include myself, but at the same time, not take it all personally. I understand, hey, we're on a journey, we're on a path, which comes with it accountability and responsibility, but like I said, there's a lot of things that we just don't know, and it's not like and it goes back to all the interference, of course. It goes back to we want everything to be easy. We want opportunities to come to us. We don't want to go to an opportunity. We want everything to be perfect, laid out, and we want to sometimes understand more than we. Anytime, in my opinion, that I'm learning something, okay, and developing myself, sometimes I don't understand, but I understand the cause, and I understand the effort in the cause, and I also understand that there's an effect as well. There's a cause and effect, but I also know that if I follow the path and do not interfere and do not bring up these beliefs and doubts, delusion and illusions, I'm going to be fine. Okay, I'm going to be fine. What happens a lot of times is you want to be understood, right? But sometimes there are things that you don't understand, and that's a big difference. Okay, let me see if I can explain this to you. Let me use myself as an example. I told you about my path to be where I am right now, and how pleasing it feels to me. I feel pleased about what I've done thus far to right now, because it's all right now anyway. Everything's right now. And what you're doing right now, what you're thinking about right now, what you're cultivating, contemplating right now. Everything right now is what's important right now, because that's all it is right now. That'll make sense at some time. But again, sometimes, like I say, I have been hearing, and I can continue to hear within myself, feel within myself, to keep going, keep following the path, don't interfere. And it's not like you can't question certain things, but I think we a lot of people think, well, ask questions. Well, I've realized that when I was a part of a forum back in the day, that the is not so much of the questioning. There's no problem with questioning people, but it's why you're questioning them. Okay, because a lot of times your questioning is a doubt, which you ought to have a doubt. Sometimes your questioning is skepticism. Okay, you ought to have some kind of skepticism. But a lot of people ask a lot of questions because a lot of it is fear of uncertainty, fear of giving directions. Because, when I used to work in my field back as a first responder, we would go on certain, because a lot of us had a lot of experience. All right, let's use that. Let's stay in the material, since that's where we are. I remember, I know for a fact that as a first responder, you'll give people instructions, you'll give people paths and tell them that way. Signpost. We have whistles. We're blowing this way. We're doing everything in our power to lead people in the right direction, and quickly. But in most cases, people are questioning that. Why are you telling me? They want to know, why are you telling me to do this? Why are you telling me to do that? I do whatever I want. I go wherever I want. You're inconveniencing me. I don't know any other way to go. This is the only way I've ever gone. And so it's not so much questioning. We're not asking appropriate questions. We are attempting to. There's some. I guess there's a fear there. Okay, there's a fear of uncertainty. It's a fear of the unknown. And so I told you, for many years when I was younger, I used to have these dreams. I told you that it was like I would come into the end of the road. I remember having a dream. I was in a lake or a river or a stream. And I remember I was, traveling along that stream. And all of a sudden I came to the end of it. And I'm kind of like looking around. And then usually I wake up. I'll wake up before I can do a complete look around. I can remember being in a very, very dark place. I had no idea where I was, in a dark place. And then I remember seeing a light. And I remember that the light was opening up, and I was attempting to go to the light and get out. And then I usually always come out of those dreams. So my point is this. There's a lot of things we just don't know. Okay, and we need to be honest about that and say, you know what, maybe I just don't understand. And you need to ask the question of, okay, how can I understand this? And it can be anything. I don't necessarily question, because what you're doing is questioning yourself. I don't necessarily question myself like that anymore, because I've had the results to prove that where I'm heading is the right path. I've had enough experience to know, okay, there's a detour here. Yes, expect detours, but follow the path nonetheless, is my point. We are going to have detours, interference forever. And I told you, and that's symbolic, and that's also a reflection of our planet. Okay, we get many signs and many of cues, signposts, information, whether we are visual, auditory, feeling, and all the other senses that are involved. But those are the major ones that we rely on more than our essential other ones. We have, I told you, about 12 other senses that we don't consider. We don't consider at all. And we just kind of interfere so much because because it's not that we don't trust the government. It's not the government. It's ourselves. We don't trust ourselves. Okay, everything comes back to me. Everything comes back to you. There's nothing to do with all this other stuff going on. So, like I said, I was tossing and turning a little bit because, apparently, there's a lot going on in the atmosphere. There's a lot going on in the world. There's a lot of interference. We're massively overpopulated with people, buildings, sound, light. Because it doesn't matter how much I darken this room, where I'm currently, there's always light coming through. All right, and that's vice versa too. No matter how much darkness there is, like I said, light will come through. And no matter how much light, darkness can come through. Okay, that's the peril of life. Okay, you can't eliminate any of it. So like I said, there's a lot of things that we don't know. And, when I was laying there, I made sure as I was tossing and turning, because, hey, that's going to be part of the situation as well for all of us. No one's going to necessarily be sleeping soundly unless they have some kind of aid, And I told you I don't feel too safe until my environment is set up properly to be having headphones on. Because I used to have headphones on back in the day that will help me, sleep during the night. But I don't, I have an issue with that right now for myself personally. Now, anybody else, auditory people, I wouldn't. If you're auditory, you need to keep your hearing open without any interference. And the same thing with people that are visual, just don't have, you can still process anything that you want if you are developing yourself. Like I said, someone can block your sound, it'll come out in other modalities. Someone can block your vision, you'll continue to move forward using your other modalities, your feelings, blah, 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 blah. It goes on and on and on. There's a compensation, all right? When there's a compensation, there's no excuse, all right? There's no excuse. The only person that will block you is you, and you usually are blocking it via your thoughts. So, like I said, when I was sitting there, I said, okay, what's going on? Because I had just been reading something kind of heavy, and I know that's what's going on. My consciousness, my psyche, my being, my whole is processing things and aligning things up for me for it to be revealed to me at some point. Once I take in enough knowledge about it. So what it is that you take it, you learn something, or you're taught something. Okay, things will align themselves up so that you can experience it, and that's how it can bring understanding, a little bit more understanding to you or to me. And that's how I do it. That's how I do it. So that's what I was, when I was up, last night. That's what I was saying. I was saying, man, there's a lot of things we don't know. There's a lot of things that we don't know. And I know a lot of us are wasting a whole lot of time. And I know a lot of us, your time is up. And those, the ones that's times are, the majority of the people whose time is up have no idea what I'm talking about, or you or anybody else that are talking in the certain manner that we are, in this, because like I said, billions of people are talking. So the ones with the times up won't ever come across my material. Maybe their descendants will, or your material. Maybe their descendants will, and maybe not. All right, so the point is I and others are just speaking to a few. I said the 144-210s, but there's several group of 144s. There's several groups. It's not just one group. There's several groups, and I think it was anywhere to almost 1 million. But that a lot of that has changed today, right now, and that's irrelevant though. is irrelevant. And we, just accept that it's irrelevant, because you know if you're part of something or not. You know what you resonate to. You know what you stick to, and what you are fascinated by, what you are intrigued by, what you are focused on, what you're researching, what you're looking at. You know where you are. You ought to. If you don't, so there's a lot we don't know, is my point. But at the same time, a lot of people are fearing the unknown, and they won't admit it. So that's why they keep questioning, keep asking questions, keep asking questions, and they want more evidence. Okay, this is right there, is right, and that's how it usually is. It's right there, and whatever that means to you. But oh no, okay, wait a second, and then so there's another series of questions that's coming. There's another series of questions that coming. There's a lot of questions, and that's why we have all this wasteful political bullshit going on, when we have these committees that are supposedly questioning people about their actions and behaviors and this and that and the other. It's all a sideshow. It's a sideshow. Okay, they don't want to know the answers, even if the answers were given to them, and even if they know the answers. They think, okay, let's keep questioning people, and give the illusion and delusion that they're doing something. Okay, and let me give you another example of what I'm saying, because I like to be clear and effective, and I do the best I can to be. I know the auditories are listening. I find it funny, but yeah, I know the auditories are listening, which are usually intellectual talking heads. The people that don't listen, of course, and this is no offense, are the ones that are in their feelings and emotions, because they're always defending those feelings and emotions, and they're always defending, saying that their feelings and emotions are right. They are justified to having these kind of feelings and emotions and all this. I have a right to question whatever, they just like to go on. Or they always say, why? I think kids did that. And, it's difference from when a toddler is asking why. And you have to be clear, you have to be creative too, and know that, come on now, that you ought to know that what's age appropriate by now. If you're an adult, you know what's age appropriate to talk about. So know what your child's modality is, and do everything you can to nurture that modality. If they're a visual person, show them things. That's what my dad used to do. That's how I knew he knew me very well, because I remember we used to go driving on the highway, and he knew I was a visual, because I was always looking around. Because I used to be so fascinated by things, and then he used to get my attention and point, hey, when you're in this particular lane, you see he used to point out, you see the billboard there? Stay in this particular lane right there, because this particular lane is going to take you here. This particular lane is going to take you there. So if you stay in this, so he used to be instructing me and teaching me. Okay, so if you stay in this lane right here, Michelle, if you stay in this lane right here, it's going to take you there. So that's just like your path, certain paths. If you stay in this lane, this path is going to take you there. If you get over there, this path is going to take you there. And you may not want to be, so you need to get out of that lane and get into the right lane and follow your path. And I can guarantee you, you'll get to where you need to be. That's what he was teaching me as well. Okay, so our modalities are fed. Okay, like I said, whether you're a visual person, auditory, feeling, whatever, we're fed. We get plenty to eat. Plenty. Okay, as a matter of fact, we do more waste than anything. So there's a lot of things you don't know. And you need to ground yourself in reality and accept it. And stop it. Stop it. drain your brain of all that garbage in there, all that residue, all those filters, nonsense that's carrying on in there, interfering, getting in the way. Ask appropriate questions and not these kind of darting questions when you can care less about the answer, because sometimes, in most cases, you know it. You've been told that over and over and over and over and over. It's the same formula. Sometimes it's the same. Like I said, our paths, because of our complacency, our paths were clear, but now there's debris, there's detours, there's damage, there's obstruction, there's this and that. People are there, there's blockage, and we allowed that to accumulate over the course of time. So again, do everything in your power to be understood, that people understand you as much as you know you. And if you don't, admit it. Hey, you know what? Sometimes I just don't know. I just don't know. And so that's why you're going to make mistakes. You are to make mistakes. Okay, but you need to be still open enough and not doubt so much of clear paths that are right there. It's a clear path, but it's blocked. It's a clear path, but there's a detour sometimes. There's a clear path, there's obstruction, but it's a path nonetheless. And you have to take it. You can't just think, well, you know what, let me just sit here and, a lot, and that's what it's all. It's when people, the kind of questions that people are asking are distractions. Okay, it's fear based. Okay, is the fear of the unknown and this and that and the other. Well, as human beings, we're required to move forward and figure it out. Okay, what we like to do is we like to keep regurgitating what others have done, and it's too late to be concerned about what Aristotle had to say if you're not going to be following a path or moving forward. Okay, it doesn't matter what Socrates had to say and what he's said. Okay, we miss opportunities to consider those theories, okay, and opinions. Okay, and a lot of us feel as though that we can go back. No, you can go back, but you're going to roll yourself back and back until you are going to be stuck there, spinning. Okay, yes, we had important philosophers, teachers, whatever, this and that and the other. But, it's too late to be necessarily going back to try to figure out what they meant. You need to move forward. It's time to just move forward. Accept that you just don't know. Accept that you have some type of fear of the unknown, but you're going to move forward nonetheless because you have no choice. Okay, the state of our planet has made it to where you have no choice per se. You have to take the moments now. Okay, take the moments now. The pendulum is headed this way. Okay, the boomerang is returning. Okay, so I hope all that makes sense. Like I said, I was feeling things, and like I said, I'm a highly sensory person, so I'm picking up stuff. I know there's a lot going on in the planet, and a lot of people are pretending that it's not, though. That's the part that's kind of troubling. What do it's kind of like, well, we're going to rebuild. Okay. Oh, this and that and the other, and not considering, okay, why something happened? Maybe I need to downsize. Do I need this? Do I need that? Maybe I need to go here. Trusting the process, trusting the path, trusting the journey. Trusting the knowledge you have and the knowledge you seek. And know sometimes even though it doesn't make sense. If it, you have to trust what you know based on you. It's about self-preservation, okay, as well. That's a little sprinkle of that in there as well. Okay, it's about leading your way out of something. Because we all put ourselves where we are. Nobody else has, or nobody else will. It's all self-will. We've done this to ourselves. So, I trust the path. And sometimes I do not understand, but I trust it nonetheless. And the more I continue to move towards my path, the more it's going to make sense. It's not going to make sense for me to say, well, I'm not moving forward until I understand. That's crazy. And that's what we're doing. That's what we're doing. So anyway, everything's kind of dry again, my face and da-da-da-da-da. But the weather is beautiful. But, that's irrelevant. The weather is beautiful, whether it's raining, sleet, or, the weather is just beautiful, regardless to me. Yeah, there's a lot we just don't know. A lot we just don't understand. But that's no excuse. That's no excuse. So I'm going to go ahead and stop right there and send peace and love all over. And trust me, I'll be back.